It's not just self-determination. I had a couple of topics that I wanted to get into today. The first one that I wanted to talk about was this whole Tom Arnold and Donald Trump situation, where Tom Arnold apparently has a tape of Donald Trump. Apparently, as he says, it was him sitting in that chair saying the N-word, saying the C-word, calling his son a retard, just being so mean to his own children, end quote. Now apparently he received a call from Arnold Schwarzenegger while Schwarzenegger was in the company of Hillary Clinton. And they basically told him he needed to release a tape of him saying the N-word, Now, Tom Arnold apparently didn't release the tape because he wanted to protect the editors and the producer who gave him the tape initially, and I guess they were afraid of repercussions from Trump and his administration if he allowed the tape to actually be released. So he called himself protecting those people. I guess to one degree I understand that, but here's my thing. If they did not want other people to hear the tape, why would they give it to you? They just shared this information with you, right? Listen, how much is it going to take? In fact, you know what? I think everybody in America pretty much knows Trump is a fucking racist. He's a racist, and the majority of Trump supporters are also racist. I don't give a fuck what race you are. If you're Mexican, then you are a Mexican racist. You're probably a Mexican who hates other Mexicans. You probably hate black people. And you probably are one of those Mexicans who want to pass as white and probably put on your applications and shit like that in census questionnaires that you are a white Latino person. 9 times out of 10, because in my experience, and I live in a state with a heavy Mexican Hispanic population, in my experience, all the Mexican people that I ran across that were Trump supporters were racist and bigoted ass Mexicans. I'm telling you right now, they think they're better than black people. They damn sure think they're better than other Mexicans. They do not want other Mexicans coming across the border because they think that it fucks it up for them, the more quote-unquote illegal Mexicans coming over here. Oh yeah, I mean, they are the Mexican equivalent of a coon. Black people who support Trump, as all black people in this country should know, are fucking coons. I don't care if you hear this video, you can get at me, you can hit me up in the comment section, whatever. It doesn't matter. I will get back at you. You are a coon if you fucking support a racist. And that's final. Now, I wanted to transition over to, not this is more stuff on Tom Arnold and that whole Trump thing. But I wanted to transition into this.
Let me see that sign.
With
Hey, Scott! Get me that sign.
Where is it? Let me go back some.
Get out!
With the black woman here being pushed around at the Trump rally. You know what I'm saying? This is fucking horrible.
Get out!
This is egregious. Look at the way they're pushing this black woman around. Look at what they're doing to her. Look at how they're mistreating her.
In the old days, which isn't so long ago.
She was protesting against Trump, apparently.
Hey, Scott! Get me that sign.
She was protesting against Trump. Here's
We're
a white
getting
dude.
rid of Obamacare. It's a disaster.
They're dragging him out. But they're pushing the black girl around, mind you. They're just shoving her around.
We're gonna
fuck out of here with that shit. First off, I just want to say it took some big nuts. You know what I'm saying? It took a lot of guts and heart for her to walk into a Trump rally and protest Trump. I just want to say that first and foremost, salute that sister, because she did what a lot of people won't do. She went into the lion's den, you know what I'm saying, and started smacking them on the head, But even still, is that any way to treat a person because they disagree with you? So you shove them around and you treat them like shit. You drag them out of your rally because they don't agree with you. Like seriously, that's what America is. That's what America is. But check it out though. Check it out. If people don't agree with you, you get to talk shit about them. You get to drag them and beat them up and push them around and drag them out of your area or whatever. Now, let's put that situation into context. Black people. If we are being mistreated by white people and we strike back and slap the fuck out of a white person who mistreats us and tries to manhandle us, what happens to us? We get prosecuted by the full extent of the law. You understand what I'm saying? They treat us like garbage. White people cheer other white people for doing that shit, and they villainize and demonize black people for doing that very thing. So as you can see that there is definitely racial disparity in this country. There's bias, there's bigotry in this country. Anybody who will tell you that racism doesn't exist is a fucking liar. They are delusional and they're lying to themselves. This woman here is Jacqueline Craig. Jacqueline Craig, and this is her daughter, as you can see from the captions below, Bria Hyman. They both had a heated confrontation with this officer here. I see the caption at the bottom said the incident began when the officer seen above was called to the scene. Craig complained that the man in the blue shirt above choked her son. This guy right here, this douchebag right here. This motherfucker don't look like he could punch his way out of a wet paper bag, but he'll manhandle a kid. Right. The incident began when the officer seen above was called to the scene. Craig, seen above on the right, complained that the man in the blue shirt above choked her son. Now, this woman was being very cordial with the police officer. You just watch the video. You can Google it. Watch the video. I put a short video out on this yesterday, but I had other things that I wanted to talk about. But that had me so upset that I couldn't focus on anything else. But I had more clarity of thought, slept on it, worked out. My head is clear, much clearer now. The caption at the bottom reads, when the officer suggested that Craig's son deserved to be choked because he littered. I'm going to read that part again. You might have missed that. When the officer suggested that Craig's son deserved to be choked because he littered, Craig grew angry. Her daughter, Bria Hyman, tried to come between her mother, and the officer. A scuffle then ensued between the officer, Hyman, and a bystander. So basically, the young lady here shown being manhandled by this fucking man who looks to be every bit of at least 6'2", 6'3". You understand what I'm saying? He wrestles the mother to the ground, right? From the video, the pictures that we've seen before. He wrestles her to the ground. You understand? Points a taser in her back. Then points the taser, while he's handcuffing the mother, points the taser at the young girl here and tell her to get down. She complies and just sits on the ground. You understand what I'm saying? Because we all know if you don't listen to the cops, they fucking shoot you when you're black. That's all you have to do is be black and not listen to a cop, and they will straight pop your ass. I'm telling you right now, send a mask. They're not going to shoot you in the leg, the arm, or anything like that. If you were white, they might take you alive. If you're black, they have to eliminate you because you're black. If you think I'm lying, let's look at the past few fucking years and tell me if I'm lying. And if you think I'm lying, fuck you. Sorry, this is a pretty graphic video. My rant videos are going to be like that, unfortunately, because this is me coming off the top of the head. And I choose not to contain myself but so much, but not get so far beyond myself that I lose my place in the conversation. Now, these are people who are protesting. Help me not arrest me, one of the signs say. The shocking video sparked protests outside Fort Worth Police Department on Thursday night after the women were arrested, which it should have. And we can see a couple of white people in the crowd there. You understand what I'm saying? Because this shit is ridiculous. The mistreatment of black people in our communities is at an all-time high. If you're black and you live in a predominantly black community in an urban, quote-unquote, inner city setting, you already know what the deal is with the police over-policing our communities. You already know what the deal is. People will say because of the crime and the drugs. Okay, touche, I'll give you that. But why do we have the drugs and the crime and the guns? Why do we have that? Because in the 1980s, the fucking U.S. government decided to, link up with the Nicaraguan Contras to basically sell cocaine, which they altered through a chemical cooking process, turned it into crack, dump it into black communities, and now you have an onslaught of drugs and guns and weapons in the black community. Now, mind you, black people don't own gun shops, at least not any black person I know in America. I've never visited a gun shop where a black person owned it or even fucking worked or managed it. I've been to gun shows. I've never seen a black person at any stand in a gun show selling guns. I've never seen it. We don't work for Smith & Wesson, Heckler & Koch, Ruger. We don't work for these people. These people don't allow us to work for them. We don't own any stock in these companies. We don't sit on any board of directors, any managerial or supervisory positions. You understand what I'm saying? Every pawn shop that I've seen, well, I can't say that every pawn shop that I've seen. Every pawn shop that I've seen that carries large amounts of weapons, I haven't seen a black person behind the counter of one of those. Not saying that they don't exist, They're far and few in between. What I'm saying is, we don't manufacture guns. We don't make guns. How the fuck are the guns getting into our hands, into our communities? You understand? Where are they coming from? And we don't make them, manufacture them, or even sell them. How are they getting to us? We have to go through white people in order to get guns. Period. We have to go through white people in order to get crack, cocaine, and heroin. Period. We have to. We do not own or control any distribution in this country. None whatsoever. And yet, all the worst things about our society end up in our communities. It's a fucking puzzle. All you have to do is put the pieces in the right places and the picture starts to become clear. It doesn't pay. You cannot live your life being so fucking naive and ignorant that you honestly believe that crime is a product of the people, of the most hated people in this country. The people we've had a talk on our ass since they brought us over here during the Middle Passage, and they haven't let up on our asses since. You know what I'm saying? First it was slavery, right? Then we get the bullshit Emancipation Proclamation. I have videos on that. If you want to understand why I call it bullshit, go check out one of my other videos. You know what I'm saying? Then, right after the Emancipation Proclamation, which the country, motherfuckers in the country didn't really recognize for the most part. And here's a quick thing on the Emancipation Proclamation. Just real quick. See, the Emancipation Proclamation freed slaves in the South. If you believe that there were no slaves in the North, then you're just stupid. Seriously, you're dumb. There were slaves in the fucking North. Tons of slaves in the North. The North wasn't slave free. You understand what I'm saying? They just didn't require that a black person be a slave to exist there. But you definitely were still second-class citizen. You couldn't hold any fucking serious position in the North. They treated you just as much. They treated you as shitty as the South did. Except they just didn't care to own people for the most part. But some of them did. Anyway, Emancipation Proclamation only freed slaves in the South, and with the contingency that you fight for the South in the Civil War, right? Then we get the 13th Amendment, which supposedly abolishes slavery. But the 13th Amendment states that slavery is illegal unless it's for conviction of a crime. So when you get arrested, right? And again, we live in a system where it's supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. But when you are suspected of a crime, the first thing the police do is arrest you. If you're innocent until proven guilty, you shouldn't get arrested until you go to court and found guilty of a crime, right? Why the fuck do you have to go through why do you have to be locked up? Go through the whole booking process, get fingerprinted, mugshot taken, kept until you reach bail or see a commissioner and get out on your own recon, and then go to court and then be judged all over again. You understand what I'm saying? Why even have to go through that process? Why should you even have to go through that process? But anyway, so we get the 13th Amendment. So if you basically, when you get convicted of a crime, you are a slave because now you have to do time. You have no rights. You have no constitutional rights. It doesn't apply to you. You are a slave, plain and simple. They can lease out your labor. You know what I'm saying? At their whim, all that. So, man, we get the Emancipation Proclamation, right? We get the 13th Amendment, right? And then a couple years after the 13th Amendment, which dropped in 1865, I believe. A couple of years, or maybe a year or so later, very soon after that, we get Jim Crow immediately after that, like 1867, we get Jim Crow. Then we get the Ku Klux Klan, bam, instantly. Now apparently the Ku Klux Klan was disbanded before the turn of the century. Before we went into the 20th century, the Ku Klux Klan was supposedly disbarred. But we see them reemerge with force in early 1900s, in like 1915. We see them reemerge, right? Now, when they reemerge in 1915, they have across the country 5 million men dedicated to their hate-spewing rhetoric and their cause. 5 million white men dedicated to the cause. 1921 is when the original Birth of a Nation came out, which pretty much was the blueprint on how to be a Ku Klux Klan member. And that's when when all of the negative stereotypes of black people started being put out into the forefront, that we're shiftless, we're lazy, we're wild, beady-eyed criminals who stalk the countryside, smoking reefer and fucking, I'm sorry, the reefer madness thing was a little bit later, stalking the countryside, looking for white women to rape and all this kind of weird savage animals who just want to rape white women. And it worked because we see during that Jim Crow era, 4,000 to 5,000 black men were lynched during the Jim Crow era. One of the more popular cases was a young brother Emmett Till. Supposedly he made a cat call at a white woman or whistled at her. 14 years old, mind you, he was. In this day and age, he's 14. And you don't think this young brother knows that you're not even supposed to look at a white person in the eyes? They beat his ass so bad that his face looked like somebody just took some Play-Doh and just stuck it on his head. And I'm not even trying to be funny. Google pictures of Emmett Till and they show you his face. That shit was not, what they did was fucking inhumane. It was terrible what they did to that young brother, right? So we have another 100 years of Jim Crow. White people treating us like shit, dragging us out in the streets, killing us. You know what I'm saying? Lying on us saying that we're raping white women when in fact they were the ones raping our women and covering up their own bullshit by projecting it onto us. And white people are perfect. They are perfect with that one. That is one of their main tactics. It's called projection. They will project their bullshit onto you in order to hide the fact that they're the ones who are initially behind the bullshit in the first place. It's amazing what they do. I mean, it's amazing, and the world has fallen for it for all this time. But let me stay on track. I'm digressing a little bit. So 100 years of Jim Crow, 1965, a new civil rights bill was passed, because there was one that was passed in the 1900s, or rather the 19th century, in the 1800s. I can't remember exactly the year, but there was a civil rights bill that was passed, which didn't mean shit because we were still treated like garbage, right? Then we get a civil rights movement. You understand what I'm saying? Because we were tired of being treated like second-class citizens. You got to step off the curb when a white person's walking by you. Don't look him in the face. Don't talk to him, and don't drink out of their fountains and all that shit, man. Later for that bullshit. So we supposedly get civil rights, right? Now, while we're fighting for civil rights, America really doesn't want to give us these rights. So what do? Oh, man, the Ku Klux Klan is still allowed to run rampant, and they're working very hard during the civil rights movement. You understand what I'm saying? So, because, and again, America doesn't want to give us shit, but because they can't stop us from actually following the letter of their law to get what we want, what do? They invent COINTELPRO. Go look up COINTELPRO. I'm actually making a video series on history of the police. Go check that out. It has a lot of useful historical information in there, especially concerning COINTELPRO. J. Edgar Hoover's behind COINTELPRO, which is the product of the FBI. You know what I'm saying? They infiltrate us. They use coons to infiltrate our ranks. They wiretap our phones, buildings. They listen in on us. They actually immerse themselves in black culture so that they can understand how our minds work. And then they start systematically arresting our leaders, make it like very difficult for them. You understand? Then Nixon decides, hey, you know what? Let's start a war on drugs. And then we're going to make black people, we're going to make everybody we hate the face of a particular drug. That way, if we suspect them of drug use, we don't even need any that's all the probable cause we need. We don't need any other reason other than, oh, we think they're selling marijuana or smoking marijuana. Let's raid the Black Panther Party meetings and this, that, and the third. Let's disband their peaceful protests because I think somebody's a suspected drug dealer, right? Drugs wasn't a problem in the black community. There was some heroin. I mean, we've all heard of Nicky Barnes and people like that. There was and Frank White and stuff like that. There was heroin used in the black community, but that was mostly, and for the most part, in large Vietnam veterans, because they used to self-medicate with morphine and stuff like that in Vietnam. You understand what I'm saying? Heroin still wasn't a huge thing because it was still an expensive drug, and black people were poor. We couldn't afford it like that. You understand what I'm saying? Marijuana, there was no cocaine. Cocaine was considered a white man's drug because it was so it was more expensive than heroin. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because with heroin, you could step on that shit 100 million times. You know what I'm saying? And I'm getting too street for y'all. Some of y'all might not be hip to any of that. And I don't want to give anybody any fucking pointers or tips. Anyway, cocaine was considered a white man's drug. We didn't have cocaine, right? But they struck a deal with Nicaraguan Contras. You know, if you give us coke, we give you money and guns, right? You understand? Because they wanted to fight the current regime that had taken over Nicaragua at the time, because their man got ousted. The former dictator got ousted. You understand? With the help of what's the kid from Cuba, the president from Cuba that just passed, Castro. See, there's a lot that goes into this, man. You want to talk politics? There's a lot that goes into this. A lot of dirty behind the scenes shit. You understand what I'm saying? A lot of stuff. Check out my videos, man. But anyway, so here we are with them striking a deal with the Nicaraguans, you know, to bring coke, the CIA, to bring coke into the country. They engineer a chemical cooking process, basically water and baking soda, and they come up with crack. They give crack to Rick Ross. Rick Ross distributes that shit across the country because he's black, so he's going to black communities. You understand what I'm saying? And delivering that shit all across the country. In 3 to 5 years, crack has swept the nation. By the mid-1980s, crack was a full-blown epidemic. It took a fraction of time in order for crack to decimate the black community. You understand what I'm saying? I was a little kid in the 80s. I grew up in the 90s. I saw how crack just completely took apart my community, disintegrated it, and turned it from a community where you could actually raise your children in a clean, healthy environment to one of the worst neighborhoods in the fucking country. Like, I equate the neighborhood that I grew up in on the East Coast to fucking growing up in Iraq. Seriously, real talk. Like, real talk, it's no joke. Crack did that shit. And white people's injecting illegal drugs and guns into our neighborhoods. Because, you know, when the drugs came, the guns were singing the foul law. You understand what I'm saying? So come on, man, get the fuck out of here. The same guns that the U.S. was selling and giving to the Nicaraguans, they were selling that shit back to us. Come on. This shit is not rocket science, man. It's not rocket science. You people don't believe this because they don't want to believe this. You understand what I'm saying? But these are the things that we go through in this country. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. That we still have to put up with this shit. And this gentleman right here is Craig's lawyer, Lee Merritt. Posted a video on Facebook which he filmed during his trip to the Fort Worth jail in which his client was being held. Here the two women, the mother and her daughter, Hyman left and her mother right, are pictured in the Fort Worth jail after the arrest. This is what they do to us. They constantly mistreat us. You understand? They come into our communities, and I'm gonna tell you straight up. This fucker right here, this cop, he's a fucking white supremacist. He's a white supremacist. Because remember, when she said that the white man choked her son, I know I went off on a tangent, but I had to give a little bit of exposition on how we have been targeted as the enemies of this. Will Smith made the movie, Enemy of the State. Black people are the enemy of the fucking state. We're the enemy of this country. And it started back in slavery. They've never wanted us to be free or have civil rights. And they do everything they can to keep their fucking foot on our necks. Everything they can. The war on drugs is the new Jim Crow. You don't have to believe me. Look at what's happening in the country. This dude right here is a white supremacist. This woman says what the white man did to her son. This kid says, so he was littering. So what? Why can't he choke your son? The same reason why I can't walk over to your son and kick him in the nuts. Or punch your wife in the fucking throat without you wanting to kill me. One, because it's illegal. And two, because you just don't do that to people. You understand what I'm saying? But I wanted to put another video out about this because this is ridiculous. I wanted to put all these things together because these are the latest issues that I care about anyway. And I don't know about, you know, anything else. This is what I care to talk about right now. You understand? This is ridiculous. What the fuck are we going to do, black people? What are we going to do? How are we going to stop this mistreatment of our people? What are we going to do? Why do these two women deserve to be treated like this by this fucking white supremacist? And it's a good thing that so many people came out and protest. That is a good thing. That is great that people are standing behind these two sisters. White or black. You know I went off on a rant, you know, and talking about white supremacy and racism and this, that, and the third. I'm not saying that all white people are bad. Don't misconstrue anything that I say. I don't say that all white people are bad. You feel me? I don't. But I don't trust them. You got to earn my trust. I just don't automatically trust any white person just for the fuck of it. No, you have a tarnished history. You got to work your way back into my favor. If you're a white person who is for justice, peace, and equality, cool, we can have a conversation. You know, but you got to do more. You got to do more than that just for me to want to be friends with you or for me to sit down and break bread with you for real. I can be cordial and friendly with anybody, but to let you in my inner circle, that's a wrap. It's a wrap. I'm gonna quote my man Ken Starr. My circle is so small that if I don't know you, then you're probably not already in it. If I don't know you, then you're probably not in it. You feel me? That's how small my circle is. If I don't already know you, then you're probably not in it. You feel me? I'm open to to anything. Building community, trying to build dialogue. What the hell is that? Trying to build dialogue and stuff to combat these social economic issues, the racial issues in this country. I'm all for that. I'm all for building open dialogue, seeing what we can do to change things. But it starts with communicating the truth, putting this information out there. So, again, leave comments, in the comment section. Let me know what people think. Let me know what you think about the situation. You know what I'm saying? Check out my other videos, the history of the police and their relationship with black people. Part 1, Part 3 is a work in progress. I'm still working on that. It's a lot of work to be done. The editing process for all my people out there that do edit their own videos. The editing process can be painstaking sometimes. But that video will be out soon. I'll try to keep you guys informed with information. I wasn't going to do that at first, but I figured, what better way to help my people than to keep them aware of the current climate in this country. When things happen, why not, right? But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Probably work on some more videos and stuff like that. But all I want to say is, man, keep your head up. Be safe out here in these streets. You understand what I'm saying? Keep fighting for each other. Keep protesting. Keep having each other's back, man, because they don't have, pardon me, they don't have our backs. They don't give a fuck about us. Michael Jackson said it in the song. They don't really care about us. I'm not trying to sing. That shit was horrible. But they don't. He said that shit in the song. You understand? No matter what you think about Michael Jackson, the kid used to drop some science. That's all I'm going to say about that. But I'm going to go ahead and end the video. Peace to everybody out there. Peace to all my people. Peace to these two sisters. I hope they get home safely. Make it home safely without any harassment from any fucking white supremacists. And I hope they sue the fuck out of the Fort Worth Police Department. I hope they sue the fuck out of them. I hope they get millions in damages and false arrest. I hope they get millions. Again, white man chokes black kid, doesn't get arrested. Black woman gets angry about a cop talking shit to her. Her and her daughter gets arrested. The fuck out of here, man. How the fuck is that justice? This shit is a fucking joke, man.